Up and running, and Billabong is loud.
Hello and welcome to the Villa Park podcast. It's me, Rich, and I'm back with the boys for the match preview of Tottenham Hotspur against Aston Villa. I've got Sam with me, I've got Martin with me, and I've got Spurs fan Shaz with us to talk everything from a Spurs point of view. So we're going to get right into it. Guys, first of all, though, please do hit that like button. Please hit that subscribe button. We are over 2,700 subscribers now, are well on the road to 3K. We want to hit it before Christmas. So please do like, subscribe, and get your comments in. Match predictions, starting lineups. Are we going to beat Spurs? You know, the talk is that they've got so many injuries that it's going to be a walkover. I'm sure Shaz has got a lot to say about that, but we're going to get into it. First of all, though, boys, Sam, Shaz, how are you boys doing? Good to see you.
Yeah, we're good. We're good. A nice pod debut for Shaz. For context for everyone watching, so Shaz is my oldest friend, and obviously growing up in North London, surrounded by Spurs fans and Arsenal fans, and we do Villa and Spurs home and away most years. So we'll be at Tottenham Hotspur Stadium on Sunday, and we were having a conversation about Spurs' injuries and the sentiment around the Villa fans, and you can see it already in the in some of the comments. A lot of people fancying us to win this one. Shaz disagrees, so I thought, go on then, come on and tell the Villa fans what we're expecting and why we're wrong.
Yeah. Well, Shaz, we'll get into it. I'm sure we will, mate. But welcome. Everyone in the comments, be nice to Shaz, please. Yeah.
Give him hell. Thanks for having me, Bo. I appreciate it.
No problem at all. Martin, fresh from, was it Tuesday night's mashup? Fans Forum mashup with the Villa UTV boys. How you doing this evening?
Good. I'm a bit wide awake now because it's Friday, you know, it's the weekend buzz, so I'm not as tired as I usually do being a Tuesday or a Monday or a Wednesday or a Thursday. So Friday, I'm full of energy, and it's the weekend, and thank God it's here.
Yes,
and the end of international football.
Mike, you've managed to find the lowest cut Villa top I've ever seen in my life. It's a good one.
He's showing all his. He's showing all his. Yeah.
We'll have to show the hip puberty every now and then, you know.
Yeah.
Good man. Guys in the chat, Gary's in the house. Hi guys, really nervous for these next few league games. Emery's biggest test for me coming up. We'll get into that straight away. Michael in the house. Good evening, Michael. Duncan, same again. Good evening, mate. Rich in the house. Hello, mate. Rachel, hi all. Hopefully we have a good weekend. Duncan already in the chat saying fancies us to win this match. We'll get match predictions in a bit. Hot take. Yo, can't wait for this weekend. Seems like 2 months. There you go, Michael, giving you some love, Shaz. Good evening, Shaz. I'll get all the match predictions later. Jean's in the house. Good evening. Excited for the game. I feel a win up the Villa. Willie Moyes says, evening guys, can't wait for tomorrow. He's even that excited. It's a day ahead as well. Hot takes his big up Shaz for appearing. Rich says big miss Madison will be. We'll get your comments on that as well, Shaz, in a second. KM, big up the Villa Park podcast. Big up to everyone. As I say, make sure you hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and if you do want to become a member, I've got news of a members prize coming very soon. So $1.99 your membership. Get involved. Hit the dollar sign or hit the join button, and follow the instructions from there. First of all, I'll come to you, Shaz. What have you made of Aston Villa's start to this season? from a kind of outsider's perspective, what have you made of how Villa have approached this season?
I think overall, I think you guys be quite happy with what you've seen, especially from home, of course. Pick up some big wins at home. I think your away form is disappointing. I think me and Sam were talking about it. We have been last couple of weeks really, and it's quite hard to figure out what's been going wrong. I don't watch Villa week in week out like you lads will, but it sort of takes me back to the Villa Spurs game back in the last season, which I was at, and the atmosphere was incredible. I've been to a lot of away games, not recently, but in the last 10, 20 years, and that for me was probably one of the best atmospheres that I've sort of witnessed, and it's got to have a massive part to do with the results, really.
Yeah. I mean, we've said it ourselves, Sam, haven't we, about the home record, being so good, not quite matched up to the away form, but from your perspective, fifth in the table, 3 points off top, you can't really ask for it much more, can you?
No, I don't. I mean, there is a juxtaposition between our home form and our away form, but I mean, it is what it is. There's always, being at home is always an advantage, and there's got to be a reason for that. Like Shaz was saying, we had a conversation about why our form isn't the same away, but then if our form was the same away as it was at home, we'd win every game.
Yeah, that's very true.
16 on the bounce, winning at home. Everyone, especially I think Spurs fans, are enjoying Unai Emery's success with Villa, because it's another middle finger up to Arsenal, and obviously their dismissal of Unai Emery and what he can do. So yeah, I mean, from a Villa perspective, you take what's happening all day, 3 points off top, 16 wins on the bounce at home. It's dreamland. I say every week. How dare you complain if you are?
Yeah, that's it. But Martin, just for, I guess, a couple of people have said it's a really big time in the season for us, but just to kind of really stamp that credibility, a win at White Hart Lane, a win at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium would really go a long way to kind of showing our credentials, wouldn't it?
Absolutely, and the way they've been playing as well is absolutely fantastic. And I think before the Chelsea game, Ange Postecoglou, funny enough, hadn't lost a home game in his managerial career in 5 years. That's his first one in 5 years, and that's incredible. It doesn't matter what manager you are, what club you've been with, to not lose a home game in 5 years as a manager is unbelievable. And obviously up to Chelsea, he had that. But at the same time, though, they still play incredible football, despite them missing James Maddison, Richarlison, Van der Ven, Basuma, and Christian Romero. Like, that's really the spine of their team. And sorry, Saz, if I'm rubbing it in a little bit to you, but I think even without them, I think Ange Postecoglou is going to have a plan, because he's just an exceptional manager. Because I'd lived in Australia for a few years, and me and my brother, we would actually used to go watch the Brisbane Roar games, and at the time, Ange Postecoglou was the manager of the club, and even the football he was playing then was unbelievable, but no one had heard of it because he's all the way in Australia. It's only really now do you see the effect of Ange Postecoglou, because he was at Brisbane, then he went to Japan, then he went to Celtic, dominated there, and when he had come to Spurs, people were thinking, oh, Spurs are going to be down the bottom because they only got a manager from Scotland. A bit like the situation with Villa and Gerrard at the time, but in the same sense, though, Spurs have been absolutely incredible. And I think anyone this season to go and win there, it's going to be a hard task, because their home ground is a fortress, just like ours. So for us to go and get a 3 point or a draw there, I think it'd be a great testament for us in the next few weeks to come.
Absolutely. Shaz, from a Tottenham perspective, before we get specifically into this game, what have you made of the start that Postecoglou's had at Spurs and what he's brought to your club?
well, considering the football we've played for the last couple of years with Conte, especially, I think it's a breath of fresh air. Every Spurs fan you'll like to talk to is going to just love the football we're playing. It's very attacking football. It's enjoyable to watch, and I think where we are in the table, it reflects on that. We've had a couple of poor results on the bounce, Chelsea and the Wolves game, but we are our own worst enemy at some points, especially with the Romero red card, and I'm sure we'll talk a bit more about that later.
And Sam, be nice, but what have you thought about how Spurs have kind of started this season? Have they taken you by surprise as, again, someone from the outside looking in?
Yeah, I mean, I do keep an eye on Spurs because so many of my mates are Spurs fans, and I think it's a strange one because they're obviously sort of formidable at the start of the season, and the type of football they're playing compared to what they were playing with Conte and Mourinho, it's just night and day. And I think the biggest thing is for them is to lose their one of the biggest players in world football in Harry Kane, and to just come straight back. Because I thought they'd be a better team without Kane, if I'm being honest. I think sometimes you get over reliant on one player, and Kane was such a big personality in that team where he wasn't even really playing striker anymore. He was just playing wherever he wanted, and I thought they would eventually be a better team without Kane. I didn't realise it would happen so soon. The football they're playing is brilliant. The type of work rate they have is super impressive. That closing down, very similar to Villa, actually. We've heard about the high line all season. It's been Villa and Spurs when you talk about high line. The only difference is the media sort of praises Spurs' high line and takes piss out of Villa's, as you pointed out, Rich. But
I was going to bring that up.
Yeah, they've been really impressive. I feel like some of the games that they won earlier on in the season, they've not been winning games as convincingly as Villa, I reckon. I don't think they've been like that. They've nicked a couple of results and they've played some really interesting football. But I think Villa's home displays have been more dominant. So yeah, you can only give Spurs credit, and it's nice to see clubs like Villa and Spurs competing at the top of the table. And this is a tasty one, and it's one I always look forward to. But I think two very, very similar teams in terms of quality and obviously position in the league.
Yeah, agreed, mate. Agreed. Few comments flying in. I did post Aaron's before, but let's just say he's confident for Sunday, and we're going to mash up Spurs according to.
I'll read out the whole thing, Rich. If you're going to do it properly.
I can't. Gary said can't seem to push on from 5th, a bit like the everlasting 11th last season.
Well, it didn't last forever, did it, Gary?
Yeah, exactly. Rachel said the away form will improve, so our form will level out at some point. Hot take, Kyla says 3 points off top and we're still expecting better. Come on. Yeah, exactly. Peter Collins says 13 straight Premier League wins at home. To be accurate, the Carabao Cup match against Everton, the only blemish for quite a while. Yes, Adamski is an Australian viewer, Shaz, for context. So he said he remembers when Ange was a player. Rich Edwards said, I still remember McGinn shrugging off Kane last time we played them. Super John was awesome that game.
I remember that as well.
Yeah.
It was a tough one for Tottenham at that time. I felt like they almost played it like a pre-season game, if I remember right. There was only really Harry Kane running about, and then Kulusevski when he came on, but everyone else just sort of strolled about the pitch.
I think that was McGinn's best game last year. We obviously watched it together. And
Douglas Luiz free kick.
The free kick, yeah.
Yes.
And John McGinn was, the way he played in that Spurs game is how he's been playing pretty much all season this season. So that was kind of like, for me, it was his best performance last year for sure.
Yeah. I'll save. I will read this Aaron quote out later. But okay, brilliant. So let's talk Sunday's game then. Let's get into it. So it's obvious, Martin, that Tottenham, and I'll get your thoughts on it later, Shaz, but Tottenham are decimated at the moment, it would be fair to say, with injuries and suspension. With that, you've got to say it's a good time to face them with that happening. But can it be dangerous in terms of that siege mentality, that kind of backs against the wall situation for Tottenham to kind of cling on to?
Yeah, like I mean, for us, I think it's great because when was the last time Villa really got lucky with an opposition team missing so many players? Usually it's the other way around. We're missing players and we're like, oh my God. We're now Spurs with the suspensions and injuries that they've got. They're there for the taking, not just for Villa, but for any team, because they're basically missing a good spine of their squad. And that's probably going to be a problem for Spurs in the next few weeks. But I do think, well, I don't know what Spurs fixtures like. Shaz will probably inform us in a while, but I just think in this game, I really think they're there for the taking. And with their backs against the wall, remember they're at home. I don't think Ange Postecoglou is going to change the way they play. He's still going to want to play attacking football, attractive football for his fan base, play the high line. You can imagine probably the two teams starting 11 is just going to sit in the halfway line and see who's going to get caught offside the most. But but they're but even despite them missing their players, I still think, yeah, they'd be there for the taking, but I wouldn't be taking them for granted either, because you have to remember sometimes when you're missing players, other players just seem to step up and improve their game when you least expect it. But on the bonus side for us is we have Moreno and Ramsey back. Now, they won't start, obviously, but we've got a bonus side where we have two players coming back, and Spurs are obviously missing a few players. But at the same time, though, I wouldn't be writing Spurs off by any means.
Yeah. Shaz, I'll come to you, mate. I'm going to bring FOTMob up just to kind of show, I'm sure you know already, but Yves Bissouma suspended, Christian Romero suspended, Sessegnon out, hamstring injury, Richarlison out, Mickey van der Ven out, Solomon out, Maddison out, Perisic out, and then a couple of young lads in Phillips and Whiteman. I mean, that is just crazy. How are you kind of feeling about that situation?
It's not looking good, is it? Well, the thing is, you're absolutely right. There's a lot of players missing. Noticeably Maddison, who's been one of the signings, if not signing of the season. He's had a great start at Spurs, and he's just slotted in perfectly, really. So for him to be out of the game is huge. But Mickey van der Ven is a brilliant defender. He's only a young lad. He's very tall, very strong, and very fast as well. So having someone like him out of the team, especially with the kind of pace that you've got with Diaby and co, really, it's going to be tough, really. I'm just looking forward to when Maddison and the rest of the lads can get the kit back on, really. But this is what it's like with football, really, isn't it? I mean, we all go through periods in the season where we're going to have players missing through suspension or injury. I'm sure at some point you guys will go through that. I know Martin was saying that it's usually the other way around. If Spurs can get a result, which I think we're more than capable of getting a result, then I think it will be 3 massive points for us. But it's not going to be easy.
Yeah, and just to bring you on to Maddison, actually, Shazza, obviously Ange Postecoglou has signed players that actually suited the system, suited the attacking style of football, which has been so attractive to watch, not just for Spurs fans, but for any fans, because you are playing particularly very well. But obviously, with the likes of Mourinho, Conte, and other managers they've kind of signed their favourites. And it's just boring because they're all big wages, where Ange Postecoglou was actually very smart. He signed players that suits his system and made you very attractive to watch, hence why he's so high up at the table. I'm a little surprised he's high up that table, but I'm not surprised how attractive that she's played. I just want to get your thoughts on, the players that you feel suiting into the system of the manager.
Yeah, I think the 11 we started the season with is very impressive. I know that I spoke to Sam about Destiny Udogie last year when we spent a season on loan in Italy. He was someone I was very excited to see in the Premier League. He just sort of fits the bill, physically, and he's very, very clever for such a young defender as well, young fullback. It's very easy, isn't it, just to talk about Maddison the whole time, but I think the reason a lot of Spurs fans are so excited about it is I think we've not really had that that sort of number 10, that playmaker really in the squad since we sold players like Christian Eriksen. So, you're right. A lot of the managers were just signing their favourite players, players that they've worked with before. I think we signed, Conte signed Perisic, for example, which just wasn't a smart signing considering his age and everything else. And
it was a real Conte signing, wasn't it? Yeah.
100%, yeah. But seeing players like Maddison playing for Spurs and actually playing in a system which we're proud of, despite the result. It's a good time to be a Spurs fan, even with the injuries and suspension.
I don't know what Gary's on about in the comments, but
Gary's going mad. He is. Gary's always like this.
Yeah.
Is he talking about Shaz?
I don't know. I
think he's on about Richarlison. I think someone said.
It might be Richarlison.
Richarlison missing that bloke's always
Oh,
missing.
actually, yeah, that's not far off. Yeah, I think he has some kind of pelvic issue. So, yeah.
Okay.
I'm actually a bit gutted that Richarlison's not playing. He's awful. He's so bad. I always love it when Richarlison's playing.
Remember the R9 haircut he got? Oh my Jesus Christ!
Oh goodness, I know. So I'm going to call him out publicly whilst we're live. He refers to Richarlison as R9, as do many Spurs fans. He actually
Shazza, no, you didn't. Shazza, no, you didn't.
That is sacrilege. To the
I
real
do, yeah.
R9.
No, he's the goat. No, he's terrible. But you pay so much money for a player, you're just hoping that something happens. You get some spark, but he'll be on the sidelines for a little while.
Yeah. I will come to the comments in a second, guys, so keep them coming in. But Sam, are you confident going into Sunday's game, or is it a potential banana skin?
Yeah, I mean, it depends which Villa's going to turn up. And look, if this was at home, if this was at Villa Park, I'd be really confident. I'd say, look, with the injuries you've got, I heard a rumour of Son picking up something whilst he was on international duty. I think he's going to play, but I don't know how fit he is. If it was at home,
Sarr's injured as well. Pape Sarr's 50-50 as well.
Yeah, so I feel like if this was at home, I'd be super confident. Going into this game, I would say it's a 50-50. I'd say it's a 50-50, but I would also say that the same as the Forest game, where it was an opportunity that we didn't want to miss. And I know it's silly again, because you can go back and look at all the games we didn't win and say, well, but if we won this, then X, Y, and Z would have happened. But Forest was a really winnable game for us. We just had a terrible, terrible day out. If we had won it, we wouldn't be talking about being 3 points off the top. We'd be talking about being top. So this is another one. Again, it all depends on what we're hoping to achieve this season. For me, 5th is okay. 5th and above, because there's still a possibility of getting Champions League with 5th. So as long as we're in
format,
but this is a massive opportunity to kind of take advantage of one of our rivals for those positions, having a lot of injuries, and getting it. It's a 6-pointer, isn't it? It's 3 points less for them, 3 points for us. So I think this is a game we have. Unai Emery, for sure, he'll be going in and saying to the boys, this is a must-win. It's a must-win to give ourselves some distance, and ultimately, what would it do? It puts us in the top 4. So that's what we've got. That's what we've got to be going for.
Yeah, absolutely, mate. Few people in the comments. Willie says, "I would take a win, but would you be happy with a draw?" Martin, would you be happy with a draw? Would you take a draw now? Rachel definitely would.
I think with the way that their injuries and suspension are, I wouldn't take a draw. I'd like 3 points because they're just there for the taking. So I think a draw I wouldn't be happy with because of the amount of players that they're missing. But if everyone was fully fit, 100% I'd take a draw. But they're missing so many. I expect nothing less than 3 points. Sorry, Shazza, but that's just the way I'm looking at it.
Would you take a draw?
Get your prediction.
No, I wouldn't. I think you're absolutely right. It's very obvious where what the weakness is at the moment. But we all know how Ange's going to set up the team. We've seen it. For the last few games out. Against Chelsea, when we're down to 9 men and we're losing the game, we're still kind of going for it. And I think got a bit unlucky really. The result was flattering really, wasn't it? Because they didn't deserve the 4-1 in my opinion anyway. But in my opinion, I think we were still in the
just
game.
rub it in, Sam. Why not? Just rub it in.
It is, yeah. He'll never change, will he? But yeah, I think at the moment, no, I wouldn't take the draw. But yeah, it'll be an exciting game. I think I'm really looking forward to it.
Yeah, definitely going to be a big one. Rich there saying, got to be honest, if we're looking at getting into the top 5 this season, we have to be winning games like this. Lads
right.
from the Let's Talk Sports Network, who I was on their pod last night. Hey, great to have you on our EPL show last night. Yep, no problem, mate. Really good to join you guys. Gary said, don't really know what Spurs reserves are like, to be fair. We have a good core of 16 good players or more
That's
you
bad
can
now. That's
rely
just
on. What else have we got? Adamski said we will beat Spurs, then go lose at Bournemouth. It'd be typical. I don't know if
That's
it's
true.
like that anymore.
Sorry, just before that, just before you go any further, can we please get rid of the typical Villa? The typical
Yeah.
Villa has been gone for how long now? Like against Luton Town, everyone was looking at it like that potential banana skin. Like it's gone, it's done. Like the narrative of typical Villa is just gone now. It doesn't matter. Yes, our away form might not be as strong as our home form, but this whole crack with typical Villa go beat Spurs but lose to Bournemouth, that's gone. If we beat Spurs, we will beat Bournemouth. It's that simple. Or you might draw because of the away form.
I disagree, and I'll tell you why. Now let me tell you. Hold on,
Or
hold on.
Sam would disagree. Me and Sam never agree.
No. Hold on. Give me a second. I don't think that the mindset is gone until it's gone from the fans. So like, there will always be a part of the fan base that are just pessimistic, and they'll always expect Villa to trip themselves up. And there's nothing that Emery can do about that. I would consider myself a pretty optimistic Villa fan in general. But there is a part of me still that thinks, yeah, we'll go and beat Spurs and then lose to Bournemouth. Rich, is that just me, or do you kind of get that sometimes where you're like, it would be a very Villa thing to do?
Of course, and part of it is because you just can't win every football match, and
Exactly, yeah.
you can't maintain the level of performance that is required. Over even Man City get beat, they lost to Wolves. So it happens, right? The thing that you have to try and do is put string of results together, and I think that's what we seem to be getting better at. So if you do beat a
Exactly.
Spurs, lose to a Bournemouth, then you have to go, you then put a couple of results. Obviously, it's Arsenal, Man City after that, but you're thinking, okay, put a runner together where you're losing 2 out of 8 or something. And I think we're better at doing that. But yeah, I kind of agree with both of you. I think that Villa has gone in terms of losing 3, 4, 5 in a row.
Yeah.
But at the same point, I do think we could go and beat Spurs and then lose to a Bournemouth.
Very political answer, Rich. We like it. Not
No,
picking either side.
Just to be clear on Martin's point, what the old Villa is dead completely. But I think there's still a little bit of expectation. Like how many of these old hoodoo things has Unai Emery broken? He's broken loads of them.
Yeah.
So I would agree
Sorry,
with
Sam.
Martin.
Can you say that again? I just didn't hear that properly. Can you just say that again for me?
Yeah, Martin is right. I do agree with him. I can keep saying it if you want. I can write it down. But I do think that there is still like this mentality of seizing opportunities, and like for example, we got a good result against Chelsea earlier in the season. We had an opportunity to go to go top of the table, even if just for a few hours. And when we played Forest, and obviously it was a missed opportunity. I'm not going to talk about the one game that we lost this season, but my point is, I think about seizing opportunities, but like you say, Rich, it's about doing it over 38 games and where you finish at the end. I'm not fussed about losing individual games that we should win, but I think if we've taken our opportunities to the end of the season, then we'll be there or thereabouts. Not to turn into Steve Bruce, but that's really where we want to be. We want to be in the top 4 or 5th. So yeah, time will tell if it's broken or not.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll have to catch up with comments, but there's so many coming in. Adamski said, until we've consolidated our form over multiple seasons and then continue that form under a new manager, if God forbid Emery leaves, then and only then will our typical Villa sentiment vanish. Rich said, I was gutted about the Forest game. Got to be honest, we could have been right up there. Absolutely. CC, I'm queen of optimism, and although we're a work in progress and we'll have wonky results, it's time to step up our game, sort out our away form. We have to bring our intensity, focus, and clinical finishing. You starred that one, Martin. Yes, Martin. Consistency is the key. Yeah, I agree. Dunk says averaging 2+ points per game is the key. Ahmed said he'd rather beat Tottenham and lose to Bournemouth. I'd rather we beat both, to be fair, but I know what you mean. I know what you mean.
Yeah.
Um,
See, now you agree with me, Rich. You know, the
yeah,
typical Villa.
Steve. Yeah, it wasn't an opposition one, mate. It was a general pod. So sorry about that. Draw is not a bad thing, says Lee away at Spurs. Michael said he's very confident, but we must go in with the right mindset. So he's predicting a win, but we've already started some score predictions. We'll get all them in a minute. Sam, I'll come back to you. From before we get predicted lineups and kind of just talking generally about the Villa, it seems like there's a few in the comments saying Zaniolo and Bailey are going to be monitored. I think Emi Martinez is training tomorrow as well. But how do you see Emery approaching this? Away at Tottenham with the injuries, do you think he goes all out all out attack, high line? Does he go controlling possession, or does he maybe go a little bit more conservative, like kind of how he approached it last season?
Yeah, I didn't know if Emery had been injured whilst he was scrapping the police and
Yeah,
Brazilian police. But yeah, I think what is it that gif? My favorite Unai Emery gif is where he's just there going calma, calma, and that's what he's going to do. Like, he's not going to get trigger happy just because Spurs have some injuries. He's far too intelligent, far too calculated. I don't expect him to do anything out of the norm. I expect him to go there and play our game. And the one thing I would say, there's quite a few similarities between Postecoglou and Emery, notwithstanding the effect they've had on the club very quickly. But it's also their mindset of playing their own game. However the game falls, they're going to do what they want to do, their tactics. So I expect much of the same from Villa. I expect to control possession. Spurs are a really good pressing side, so it'll be a real test of our ability to play around the back. I think Matty Cash is going to have one of his biggest tests of the season, because I think when we do that little ronda at the back that we always do, the triangles between Kamara and Louise and Konsa and Cash, it's going to be tested this week. But yeah, I don't expect Unai Emery to do anything out of the ordinary. Just go there and play our game.
Yeah. Rich said go with the team that went out last time with Bailey and Ramsey off the bench. Will be fire. CC, I'm looking forward to seeing how we handle and the challenge playing a team that has injuries, and there is an expectation we should win. We used to be in the underdog. Different mindset is needed. Martin, do you agree with Sam there, kind of, and how Emery will approach it, or do you think we will kind of go at it with all guns blazing?
Sam, you may as well write this down. I'm in agreement with you as well. Yeah, I think Emery will go into this with a fairly tactical approach, because we don't particularly know what way Emery plays. How he plays, he likes to contradict what the other team does, and he's been so good at it. Hence why we're sitting fifth in the league. Hence why we're getting big results. Hence why our home is a fortress. Now, I think at home, Emery plays a certain way, and it's like to be controlling possession. It's building from the back. It's drawing teams in, and then when we get past them, we've abundance of space going forward. Where away from home, I've kind of missed the sitting back, absorbing the pressure, and catching them on the counter. Because when you got someone like Diaby, Ollie Watkins, Bailey, Zaniolo, Ramsey, whoever it might be, it's like, they've got so much pace and they've got a killer blow as well. And I do miss that a little bit. But at the same time, again, Sam, I agree with you. Emery will approach this like as he normally would. What do Tottenham do? What can I do to cancel out Tottenham and benefit us? And that's just how he's always been. He literally works 12-hour shifts to contradict what other teams do. And hence why we're so high up the table.
Yeah, agreed. There's a couple of questions coming in for you, Shaz, so I'll save them for a little bit. But in terms of the starting lineup, so I'll go with yours first, mate. You've picked your Tottenham one. Obviously, we've gone through all the injuries. But yeah, just talk us through I mean, that front line is still pretty tasty. You know,
Yeah,
Son,
it's
Johnson,
plenty of pace.
Kulusevski. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
I think obviously without Madison there, and I don't quite think that there's an awful lot of faith in Giovanni Lo Celso. He's a good player, he just hasn't quite done it for us. I think they will sort of revert back to a sort of holding player in Højbjerg just in front of the back line with Bentancur again, who's back now from quite a long injury. I think that's going to be massive for us, obviously, with Bissouma out with 5 yellows, isn't it? And the front line, I'm quite happy with. I think, especially with Richarlison being out, I think the team just kind of made itself. He may well decide to go with Emerson Royale as a centre back partnership with Davies. But I think, to be fair, if I was picking the team, which I'm not, this will be what I would go for.
Thanks for clarifying that.
I don't know if we can see I don't know if Big Ange is watching, which is why I said that. So, you never know, right?
Now, a lot. I've watched a few sort of Tottenham supporters on a couple of other podcasts, and they're very worried about the Davis and Dyer. If that is the centre-back pairing, the Davis and Dyer centre-back pairing against a Diaby and Watkins or a Bailey coming off the bench, and the pace that kind of carries, is that a concern for you?
Of course, yeah, of course it is. I think especially players like Bailey and Diaby, who are, they're electric, aren't they? And I think they can change the game if they get in behind. It's 90 minutes. All I want is Davis and Dyer just to do 90 minutes, and then hopefully we can look on to getting Romero back, and then a few more games away we'll have Van der Ven back. We've made do even with Dyer and Davies in the team for probably the best part of about 3 years, maybe a little bit more than that. So they know what's expected of them. It'll be a tough game for them. I think that we could have had an easier opposition for sure, with especially some of those quick players that you got. But I think they'll know what they need to do.
Yeah. Fair enough. Well, let's get into the Villa lineups. I think if I look at them, I think we're basically all the same, lads. So,
okay.
I'll just I'll stick. I think this is what I went with. I tried to do a little formation, but I'm
You
pretty
like doing
sure.
the little formation?
Yeah, I'm
we
pretty
are
sure.
overloading that right hand side.
Yes,
I think that was my one. Yeah.
And then there we go. So I'm pretty sure we're basically the same. So where are we gonna? Sam, I'll come to you first. Where do you think we will kind of look? I've talked about Davis and Dyer, but specifically in terms of our players, who are you kind of really excited to see? Looking to do damage against Tottenham.
I think it's the same as I don't know if anyone's a fan of boxing or if anyone watches it, but the rule is in boxing: if you catch someone to the body and they're hurt, you target that area, whether it's the liver, whether it's the kidneys, and you keep going at it. And I think that's what Villa have to do. They've really got to punish Spurs for being a Premier League team with Ben Davies and Eric Dyer at the back. And I think that's what we're going to do. I think we're going to try and catch out. They haven't played a lot of football recently. If I'm being honest, I'm surprised Dyer's not still in the England setup. But I think that's where we've got to target them. It's going to be a combination of Digne, Matty Cash, but a lot of Diaby and Watkins linking up from the front. And then obviously the resurgence of Yuri Tielemans. Obviously he had a brilliant game last game out, and hopefully he can feed the ball through. I think Watkins got a really good record against Spurs, actually. I saw a clip of him scoring today during lockdown at the Spurs stadium, and I've been to the Spurs stadium a few times since they moved there, and I think Ollie Watkins has scored every time I've been. So hopefully I've got a bit of Martin magic on my side, and I can go and watch another win at the Spurs stadium.
Yeah, Martin. Sam mentions there Yuri Tielemans, and I put the picture up of him, and he had a cracking game against Fulham. Seems like he's really getting that sharpness back, and we've mentioned his speed on and off the ball, like his speed to close down and his speed to kind of pick passes. That's going to be really key in this game on Sunday, I feel, because higher line, playing those one-touch passes around the corner, or being a little bit more direct, as Rachel's mentioned, is going to be really key. And I think if Tielemans starts, I think he can have a real impact.
Yeah, I think off the ball, Tielemans is fairly experienced, where he knows where to be, how he can press the opposition player, and he almost looks, fairly quick at doing it. Like, don't get me wrong, Tielemans doesn't have the abundance of pace in the world, but he just knows where to be. It's just very football IQ. He knows where to be, how to press players, and he looks fairly quick at doing it because he's so close to the player. I think he's a fair idea where the ball might be going. And then on the ball, I would actually like to see Tielemans come, although he's probably going to be playing left, like drift into that centre just a little bit, because when you see a midfield of Højbjerg, Bentancur, and Star, who might be a doubt, and then you've got Curtis Davies and Dyer in there as well. Tielemans can pick out a pass, and the Albion Watkins runs in behind. Tielemans will just keep feeding and feeding and feeding. Sorry, Shaz, I know we're giving you a knockout blow, and God forbid your mate is sitting right next to you as well.
No, that's fine. I don't remember signing Curtis Davies, but that's fine.
Ben Davies.
Davies.
Yeah. Or Curtis. I said Curtis, didn't I? I didn't even cop it there, actually. No wonder Sam had a bit of a smile. I was thinking me and Sam were in great mood today.
I was thinking just to supplement Ben Davies and Eric Dyer. They've now brought in Curtis Davies.
Yeah.
At the tender age of 46.
I'm up since 5 o'clock. I'm very tired.
No, I think as well, it's worth mentioning one of the biggest challenges in this game, we talk about the forward line, is obviously our inability to keep a clean sheet. That front three of Son, Brennan Johnson, and Kulusevski is scary. Like, that is one of the best front threes in the league. Make no doubts about it.
It's a serious pace to run in behind too.
Serious pace. Son is world class, has been for years now. But I think we've got to be careful. We've got to make sure that we're tight at the back, because especially if something happens and Martinez isn't available, and we've got Olsen in goal, it's open season for Son. He's going to shoot from pretty much anywhere. But I think we've got to be really disciplined defensively. And
didn't Olsen play last season at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium and keep a clean sheet?
Did he?
I think he might have done.
Yeah, but this is when Spurs were not great.
I know.
But yeah, I think I would rather, and this might sound silly because I'm going to the game, I'd rather win 1-0 than 4-3, because I want like a clean defensive performance.
A solid performance. Yeah.
1-0 away from Remy Martinez. He's due one at this point,
Yeah. Rich says, I know for a fact they're scared about the pace in our attack. CC has said, if we go in overly confident and not on our toes, I do think Spurs have enough about them to hold us off. If they get an early goal, game on. Gary said, rather going overconfident than stuck in the stalls like Forest. Rich said he'd be happy with the selection that we've chosen. Michael said, we always create chances, but the key for Sunday is to take them. Lee says my gran runs faster than Tielemans. I thought he looked really quick the other day. Your gran must be super fast, mate, because I thought he was really quick. Gary said, good to see the two clubs going the right way. And Steve 24/7 says Spurs tend to start fast and then fade and drop back. If we concede early, I'm still confident our attack beats their defence for me. It would. I mean, obviously the game against Wolves, Shaz obviously echoed that, but there was probably a few other mitigating circumstances with that as well. But is that something that's happened across the season, like Spurs maybe starting really fast and then kind of fading towards the end?
I think the sort of high energy that we put into the first. Sorry, I just saw that comment. The high energy that they're putting into the first sort of 60 minutes of the game. Naturally, they're going to slow down towards the end, and especially with the players that aren't in the team at the moment. Wolves being a good example of, what can happen when you lose your focus. It's not a 90-minute game, is it? It's a 95, 96-minute game. So it's I think I still think it's going to be a very, very interesting game.
Yeah. Ahmed saying he thinks we should start Bailey. Anyone?
I think he's
that?
proven himself as like an impact player. I think
Yeah,
he's just so good when he comes on. Maybe that's just his niche. Maybe that's what he's good at. He's better as an. I'd love to see Ben start a few games this season though, because he's been so impressive.
Agreed.
I think it's great for him coming off the bench, because when the defenders are absolutely tired and the legs are just nearly gone, and then you have someone like Leon Bailey coming on with bags of pace, it's just, he's been fantastic now. And I think, even if you're playing 30 minutes, 25 minutes, you can still get numbers, and that's just goes to show that Bailey now has the right mindset to go and do that.
Absolutely. Shout out to Rich for the $4.99 super chat. Thank you very much, mate. Can't wait to see Starboy, Ramsey, and Moreno back. They give us so many options, and we have missed them both. We missed both of them up the Villa till I die. I mean, Sam, we've seen them in training this week. It would be just a massive boost to see them on the bench, because most importantly, on the game against Fulham, only Bailey came on. He didn't make any other substitutions, so just to have some options would be great.
Yeah, I think it's like sometimes out of sight, out of mind. I think, me personally, I almost forgot the impact that Moreno had when he came in January, and just how good he was and how brilliant he was. And I'm sat there watching Luca Dean, and I'm like, he's pretty good. He's doing fine. He's doing a good job. But I think having Moreno back is just I really don't know what he's going to do. And the good thing is, because when you're flying, this is when you get the selection dilemmas and the headaches. We're all excited to see Ramsey come back, but in what capacity once he's fully fit? What about Moreno when he's fully fit? Because for me, I know there's been questions over Luca Dean. I think he's been brilliant this season. I really do. I think he's hardly put a foot wrong. He's creative. Yeah, he loses the ball sometimes, but that's what happens when you are, running at players, when you're crossing the ball. Then he's not going to get it on the money every time. And so I'm a big fan of what Luca Dean's done this season, and I'm glad that it's gone so well for him, despite his wages. And if George is watching, but
just take off your mask there, George.
I think the question is what happened? How do they fit in? How does Moreno come straight back in? Does he? We had the same conversation about Mings when he comes back in. What would happen? I can't see Ramsey displacing anyone. Maybe Tielemans, and have him sort of driving. But it's just brilliant to have him back, and that would leave only Mings and Buendia on the injury list, which is, compared to everyone else in the league with the ACLs, and puts us in a really good position. And what it also does is, as we're creeping up on January, it lets us know what we need and what we don't need.
Yeah. Agreed. I think also, let's not. We've got 9 games or something in this December period, so they are going to be used. I would be very surprised. Obviously, I don't want it to happen, but we may pick up 1 or 2 injuries along the way in this period. Obviously, Bertrand Traoré, not massively important, but has come back yet again from international duty with an injury. So
did you see his goal though, Rich?
Yeah, it was phenomenal.
Oh my God. Absolutely ridiculous.
He probably did his hamstring scoring that goal, to be fair.
He nearly did my ankles just watching it.
It's crazy, yeah.
He turned into prime Messi. He turned into prime Messi while he was out there.
It's incredible.
Yeah.
What a goal.
But yeah, everyone agreeing. Michael, we have a bench with quality. Rachel, I think it's 9 games in December, I want to say.
Thank God I'm seeing 2 of them.
Yeah, Rich said at the right time in the season, Christmas is lethal. Yeah, exactly, getting those players back. Rich said he'd agree with Sam. Dini's been awesome as he's stepped up big time. Gary said he'd forgotten how Moreno plays, especially now Dini is playing. It's great. Rachel said, I just hope Moreno still has the directness and pace that he had before the injury. I'm sure he will. You just might take a little bit of time to to come through. I had a couple of questions that came in from viewers before we get kind of looking at some of the past games and then get your match predictions, boys. But for Shaz, Ange says he's not changing the system in spite of all the injuries. How do you feel about that? And that's from Peter Collins.
Considering how it's been the last couple of years, like I've already mentioned, I think it's quite exciting. I think I'd rather go into a game with the intention to win, despite all the things going on in the background. Give it a really good go, play some really good football, and maybe not win the game. I can live with that, but I think going in with a negative mindset and just going in thinking that we're already going to lose the game and just hold out for a point or something. That's not why we watch football, is it? So I think the way it is at the moment, I really like it personally.
Yeah, and I know you touched on this earlier, but Michael, just from a Villa, like an outsider looking in from a Villa perspective, what do you think about all the positivity, the positive comments from Villa fans, and kind of seeing that positivity around Aston Villa at the moment?
Yeah, it's great. I mean, me and Sam know each other for a very long time, and there was a time when we were at school together, and Villa and Spurs were, very, very sort of close. I think Villa probably just a little bit better at that point.
So this was the Ashley Young, Stuart Dan, and James Milner.
Yeah.
Defoe. I remember having a conversation once about who was a better football player, Berbatov or whoever it was we had up front, Carew or someone like that. So that was the period we really started looking at Spurs and Villa. So we've always been,
and now it's back again, huh, Sam?
Now it's back again. Yeah, there's been obviously it's been a tough few years for you boys, and just obviously because I've known Sam for so long, I've always kept an eye on Villa, even when things weren't going too well. And seeing how you guys are doing now is great. Really, I think it's incredible.
Tell the truth, Chad. You had a smile on your face just for Sam, just to rub a salt in the wound a little bit. Didn't you?
No, I tell you,
Tell the truth.
Do you remember when we lost to Fulham in the playoff final?
Yeah.
I watched that game with Shaz, and I was literally outside him. Do you remember?
Yeah, I couldn't find him for about 25 minutes. I had to go and look around.
I was in my garden, head in hands, just kind of, and he was there, and he you know what? It was like someone had died. He was so respectful. He was like, "Come on, man, we'll make it through this together." and
you did make it through.
We did make it. So he's been there through the good and the bad times. But I think it's always nice for clubs less so Spurs now, because they're quite well established, and they've been in a Champions League final recently, and Champions League is kind of bread and butter for Spurs over the last, I'd say, 10, 15 years. Like, it's not even like it's been a couple of seasons now. They've been consistently in the Champions League. So, but it's nice to disturb. They're part of what they score the top six now. So whenever you see that graphic and they talk about the top six and they just cut out fifth place or wherever Villa is, Spurs are kind of in that hierarchy now. But there was a time where we were both trying to crack the top four.
Yes.
Made up of Chelsea, Man United, Arsenal, and Liverpool. So the dynamic shifted slightly, but I think in terms of the size of the club, we're very similar. Obviously, we've won stuff in our history, but in terms of the size, we've won.
You had to drop that in.
Get the gloves on. We have a boxing match on. Rich, you get the popcorn. I'll get the beer. Yeah. It's happening.
What was that singing? Mine? You'll never sing that Champions of Europe. Oh, sorry. We'll be right. But the point is, we're very similar sized clubs, and to be competing at the top of the table it's always been good, isn't it? Yeah, it's a sort of a rival game which we've kind of just made ourselves really, But I think the back to the question as well, the positive comments from all your boys fans. I think it's nice to see really. We are very similar clubs, whichever way we look at it. We're doing fairly similar in the league. We play a similar style of football, and like Sam was explained about our managers as well. They are obviously very different, but I think they are they've got that good stubbornness about them. Which I think it's good to see.
Yeah, good man. Last one more question from Gary. Says, how are Spurs fans with Levy now?
Depends on the day of the week. Not
an awful lot has changed. I mean, look, the guy has done an awful lot for the club. I could probably pick out more negatives than I can positive, but as things are at the moment, I think we don't really. this is the first time I've read his name in a couple of months, and I didn't really want to see his name today.
Sorry, you're putting a damp there.
If I'm being honest with you, but no, I'm not joking. I think I think he's sort of keeping himself out of it at the moment. When we're doing quite well, the fans will kind of leave him alone. When things aren't looking too well, everyone's going to jump down, and give him a load of shit. But I think, I think. He's done a lot for the club at the end of the day. You can't argue that.
Nice. We're going to get into just have a look at the recent form and the head-to-heads in a second. But guys, please do make sure you smash that like button. Make sure you hit the subscribe button as well. If you're new to the channel, we're on the road to 3K. We've already surpassed 2,700 subscribers, well on the road to 3K. We want to do it before Christmas, and you guys can help us do that. So like, subscribe, spread the word of the channel as well. We got loads of love for the last few shows that we've done. We've got loads more content coming up. So yeah, make sure you like, subscribe, and keep getting involved in the comments. If you do want to become a member as well, just $1.99 a month, less than a third of the cost of a pint. And I have got my hands on, I don't know if people have seen on Twitter, but these 2024 Villa shirt calendars from astonvillashirts.co.uk. The proceeds of the calendar go to St Giles Hospice Care. But I've got one to give to one lucky member. So if you want to be in with a chance of winning, hit the join button, and we'll do the draw very soon. I would probably say a week, maybe 2 weeks time. So give you plenty of time to hit the join button and become a member. But yes, you could be in with a chance of winning one of these special 2024 calendars.
Can I get in on this one, Rich, or am I still banned?
You are still banned.
Yeah,
we don't talk about that. We don't talk about that.
Yeah, well, you'll hear from my lawyer soon. We'll be talking about it. Trust me.
Aren't you not a lawyer?
Huh?
Aren't you not
Sorry?
a lawyer?
I am a lawyer, but I have other lawyers. So
he's going to bring the heavies in, isn't he? He's going to bring the heavies in. But yeah, let's go and have a look at the head-to-heads and the recent form for both sides. So we've played each other a total of 56 times in the Premier League. Tottenham have 24 total wins and 17 for Villa. We've won at White Hart Lane or the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium 7 times. Spurs have won at home 14 times. And then there's 15 draws. Lately, though, it's been fairly mixed in terms of results. So been very close. So obviously last season, Villa did the double over Tottenham. The 2-1 win which we've talked about, which was a great atmosphere at Villa Park. Getting us on the road to that 7th place finish. Spurs fans will tell you that they gave up for Europe. They didn't want to go in the Conference League, but we still beat them. Then obviously the away victory at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, the 2-0 win. So great result there. But the season before, Tottenham did the double over us, 4-0 at Villa Park. I seem to remember us missing a lot of chances in that game, but Spurs just totally punished us. I think Son had a great game. 2-1 victory as well previous to that. And then the season before that, in the lockdown season, like Sam says, 2-1 Villa, Watkins getting a goal as well in that game. But we've also had a number of close matches. I remember the season where we just about stayed up, losing 3-2 in the last minute. It was Bjorn Engels let the ball under his foot and Son ran through to score. So that was a very close game. But yeah, we've had some, and I remember an away victory where Benteke scored a great header back in the day, 1-0 win under Tim Sherwood. So we've had some good results away from home at Spurs. Recent results, both teams won 3 of the last 5 matches. Spurs obviously losing their last 2 in a row. Do not want to make it 3 in a row. Villa, 1 draw and 1 defeat out of those 5 matches. As I say, season so far, very, very close as it happens at the moment. Spurs in 4th, Villa in 5th. Both teams won 8 games. Tottenham drawing 2, Villa drawing 1. Tottenham losing 2, as I said, those last 2 games, and Villa losing 3. Both teams averaging 2 goals or more per game. Both teams averaging similar goals conceded per game. Villa slightly higher at 1.42. Tottenham with 4 clean sheets, Villa with only 2. And interestingly, they both create the same number of chances allegedly per game. So it is
4
all
games.
set up for a humdinger. Absolutely. Son with 8 goals this season. Ollie Watkins with 6. Louise with 5. Maddison and Watkins on the same number of assists, and Leon Bailey with 3. Pau Torres, high level of passes, but Romero and Bissouma, the next one for Spurs, obviously they're missing, so that's a big loss in the possession stats there for Shaz's team. And then tackles, Pedro Porro having a good season there. Bissouma again a key member of that midfield out of the side. So yeah, it's shaping up, Shaz, to, as you said before, be a very, very close game. I know, as I say, injuries taken out of it, but both teams very similar in terms of their form.
Yeah, just looking at the last few games that we played against each other, and I didn't realise it was actually that close, to be fair. And in some of the stats as well, it sort of goes to show that I think we're going to have a very interesting game on Sunday, whichever way it goes.
Yeah, absolutely. So, guys, get your predictions in the chat. I know we had some before. Martin, I think you've starred them. So lots of people very confident. Duncan saying he fancies us to win this away match 3-1 for him. Peter saying we're going to beat Spurs 2-0 up the Villa. What's your thoughts on it, Martin? What are you saying? Who's going to score and who are the scorers?
I'm going to say 2-1 to Villa. I just think we're prone to concede, so I just think that will happen. I think the goal is actually going to come from Brennan Johnson for Spurs. And I think the goals for Aston Villa will come from Ollie Watkins. And I'm going to back Tielemans to get himself a goal. Nice choice.
Where did I have it here? Really random, I think, was saying 2-2. He thinks 2-2 for 80 odd minutes. Oh, sorry, he's saying 3-2 to Villa.
Yeah,
we get a late controversial winner.
Changed it.
Has he changed it? Has he?
Yeah, he changed 3-2. Yeah.
Yes. Aaron says, "Trust me, boys. The man who's clerked them up is Diaby. He will score 2, and I feel a centre back, Pau or Konsa in a 3-1 win."
You know, I think we need to get Aaron on this podcast
we need
alone.
Basically, we just got to get Aaron on to read his comments out and then jump back off. That's what
I'd love it. There's so much mystery. Are we still taking bets that Aaron is Leon Bailey's dad?
I'm going to say cousin, just to be sure.
Michael's saying,
I love Aaron, what he brings to the show, by the way.
He's fantastic.
They're my favourite part of doing the show, so thank you.
It's fantastic. Michael says 4-2 Villa. Steve 24/7 says 5-1 Villa. It's going to be a mad one.
Jesus.
Rachel saying 2-1 Villa. CC says 3-0 to Villa, clean sheet. Adamski says is with Gary. So Gary must be going for this as well. 5-4 Villa, 2 high lines going for it. Any more? No, I think we're talking Everton in there, but I want to save that for the fans forum, to be fair. So save all those questions. We'll save our views for the fans forum with regards to the FFP and stuff like that. Hot Take says 2-0 Villa, finally a clean sheet again. Sam, you mentioned you would like a 1-0 victory. Is that what you're going for, or are you kind of less optimistic?
I reckon it's going to be 3-1 to Villa. Because I think we can get at Dyer. I think we can get at Davies. All jokes aside, they're decent players. They're Premier League players. But I don't see us getting a clean sheet, especially away from home. I agree with one of the comments. I can't remember who said it, but I've got my Diaby shirt on because I feel like this is his weekend. He's had a bit of a.
Give us a twirl. Give us a twirl. We want a twirl.
Yeah, come on.
Hey,
like it.
That's why you look behind you.
Are you as quick? Are you as fast as him, Sam? Are you as fast as him?
Am I as fast as him? Did you see how long it took me to turn around? No, it's funny. Actually, you know what? It's funny thing about this is that the shirt that he's wearing as well is the Spurs 125-year anniversary shirt.
It is.
And they only wore it in one game, and they wore it against Villa. And that
Nice.
he was at that game and he got the shirt. So we wear it on the.
I can see why you done it. It looks like a half and half jersey, half Spurs, half Villa.
You want to behave yourself, don't you?
Yeah, no, but I reckon 3-1. I reckon we can get to their centre backs, and I reckon Diaby's going to have gonna come good because I feel like he's due a goal. I know he got he didn't get the goal. We got an assist for it last week, but yeah, Diaby. I never know which Watkins is going to turn up. He might score 5. He might not touch the ball. I don't know. I give up trying to work it one out, but fingers crossed.
Nice. Rich says Villa 2-0. I think he said Watkins and Diaby. I'm gonna say 2-1 again. I think you said that, didn't you, Martin? 2-1.
Yeah.
I think McGinn will continue his goal scoring form.
Good shout.
And I think Ollie will score. Yeah, but I think we'll keep it to. I think it'll be a tough. I think Spurs will put us under a lot of pressure towards the end. Pete says, "Bless you, Martin. You're slowly getting Ange's name correct as the pod goes on."
I wrote it on my computer earlier in the thing. I said every single time Martin says Ange Postecoglou, he says it differently.
Yeah, it's the Irish accent. Ange Postecoglou, because he's.
It sounds like you've had a few beers, to be fair.
Yeah, Ange Postecoglou.
It's like me trying to say Sam Allenai or something like that. It's just.
Yeah. It's 5 letters, Martin. Come on, I believe in you. You can do it. Oh God!
I'll get there eventually, Sam. If you can say my name in an Irish accent, I'll be very proud.
Martin.
No, don't ever do that again. Don't ever do that again. That just sounds
I
like
apologize to every Irish
that just
listener.
sounds like you
Anyone
bark
who's
like a dog or something. That's just what
I
that sounded
apologize.
like.
Hey, hold on a second. I'm
I'll have a word with him later.
Yeah,
Shouldn't
I'm
be doing
sorry. Yeah.
Please, Shaz, just give me one for the back for me. Yeah, good man.
Adamski says 2-1 is the realm of the unimaginative. Look,
I thought you said give me
I
one.
just think it's going to be 2-1. I think it's going to be 2-1.
Yeah.
Boys, great show. Shaz, thank you very much for jumping on, mate. It's been great to have an opposition perspective, which is great. We will be back, I think, with a watch along, Martin, on Sunday.
Yeah, I don't know just yet. It just depends because I have to see my grandfather in the morning on Sunday, who's obviously suffering from cancer at the moment. So we tend to see him every Sunday morning. So I don't know whether I'll be back in time to set up and everything. So those are the priorities,
Watch
people.
I
do apologize.
Yes, of course. Of course.
I will keep you informed on the group chat.
We will. But anyway, we will have plenty more content to come. Match reactions, live match reaction, instant match reaction for me. Hopefully another win. Talking tactics, fans forum. We are back with all the content. So make sure you are liking and subscribing and hitting that notification bell, spreading the word of the channel. We want to hit 3K before Christmas. Don't forget the members only prize. So if you do want to be included in that, make sure you hit the join button to become a member. Thank you everyone for watching. Once again, thank you, Shaz. Thank you, boys. Thank you for all your comments. And as always, remember, we all follow the Villa. Thanks, everyone.
Up and running